guys, welcome to day 2 of my basics series. Yesterday we went over primers and which ones that I use from the drugstore to keep my face like looking how I want it to look while I have makeup on. So I used a pore filler, I used a blur and illuminate, and then I used an overall moisturizing primer. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave a card somewhere right here above my head. So make sure you click that video so you know how to start your face. And then come back to this one so we can go over foundation. So if you watch my channel, you know I am a foundation whore. I have a lot, but I'm not going to show you everything because that will take a while. So I'm just going to show you my top 5. Starting from high end and then going down to the drugstore. Now, starting from high end, going to the drugstore, that does not mean some are better than others. No, no, no. Just because it has a high price tag does not mean it works better. Just remember that. So, my absolute all-time favorite foundation is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. There is no dupe that I have run across that can compare to this quality. It is amazing. If you ever want to splurge on a foundation, this would be the one that I would suggest. And in retrospect, it's not even that expensive compared to foundations that are out there, like the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, or the NARS Foundation, or the new Vanish Stick Foundation. I haven't tried any of those because I've got my little high-end favorite right here. My next favorite, and this one is from the drugstore, is the L'Oreal Infallible, and this is their Pro Glow formula. So they have a Pro Matte formula, but that was just a little bit too dry on my skin because I already have dry skin. But this is the opposite. This one gives you the dewy finish, and it is extremely moisturizing. I have talked about this in my videos several times. This is so awesome, and it claims to have 24-hour wear time. I mean, I don't know who's gonna be wearing their makeup for that long, but the option's there. My third favorite is the Makeup Forever Water Blend Foundation, and this is a higher end foundation, kind of like the Too Faced Born This Way. And the reason why I like this is because it is waterproof. However, this gives little to no coverage. So what I like to do is mix this with one of my other foundations, so that way the foundation that has more coverage will be infused with some of the water resistant / waterproof characteristics that this foundation has. So I do not suggest just wearing this foundation by itself. You will really have to build it up if you're trying to cover things. If you're not trying to cover everything, if you're just looking for, you know, something just to look put together, then I do recommend this. However, there are plenty of drugstore dupes. They may not be waterproof, but they will get the job done just as well as this one does. Speaking of drugstore dupes, for that water blend foundation, I would use the Almay Smart Shade foundation. And the reason why I like this so much, and this is my fourth favorite, this is from the drugstore, is because this can change to your skin color. So it comes in like 3 tones, like light, medium, dark. So that doesn't seem like it has a really broad range, but it has the special Smart Shade technology where when it comes out of the tube, it basically looks white with these little beads of pigment, and when you rub it into your skin, it becomes your skin color. So the only thing you as a consumer has to worry about is getting your right tone. So if you're my skin complexion, you would be in the light medium range. If you're lighter than me, you'd be in the light range. And if you are darker than me, then you'd be in the medium deep range. So these are really awesome. I pretty much, when I don't get a lot of sleep but I have to work, I wear this because I do work at a prison, so I don't really wear a lot of makeup. However, I don't want to be walking around looking like Frankenstein. So I wear this, and this pretty much evens out my complexion if I have any redness or just overall discoloration on my face from not sleeping. I will wear this with a little bit of concealer and I'm out the door. And this is, it has the consistency of a moisturizer, so you can apply it with your hands. And another good thing about this one is that it's anti-aging. So if you are old enough to wear makeup, I suggest you start investing in some anti-aging stuff. All right, we're almost done with my favorites. For Stay Matte, I would use this Super Stay Better Skin Foundation from Maybelline. And this is from the drugstore, obviously. So this I really like because in comparison to the Maybelline Matte and Poreless, this looks a lot more skin-like rather than like a mask. So with the matte and poreless, just like it says, it keeps you matte and poreless. Like you look like mannequin. Like it's pretty bomb. But if you're going for a matte look, but you still want to look like you're not really wearing makeup, or not a lot of makeup, I should say, go for this one. And it comes with a pump. Of course, the matte and poreless does not come with a pump, so that's something to note. And this is supposed to be really good for your skin. It has skin benefits in it, while the matte and poreless does not. And then in the end, you can also mix this with the matte and poreless to get some of those skin benefits. So you do like half and half, and I've never done this, but maybe it'll tone down the matte and poreless a little bit, so you're not looking like you're wearing a mask, but you still get the coverage and perfection that you want. Okay, so for today and for this makeup look, I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. So I have a tan still, so all of the foundations I showed you, none of them are my skin tone, skin color, anything right now because I'm too dark, and I don't repurchase foundation just because I tan. Instead, I use little shade adjusting drops, which I will show you. These are the Body Shop shade adjusting drops. They come in lightening and darkening. So sometimes in the winter I'll even get paler than I usually am, so I'll use this to lighten up my foundation. Also, you can use this to lighten up foundation to make it into a highlight if you don't want to use a separate concealer. You can just mix this in with a full coverage foundation, and there's your highlighting shade. And then the same thing goes for this one. Like I'm tan right now, you just put a few drops in your foundation and it will make it darker. It does not make it warmer. I just want to put that out. There's a difference between getting darker and warmer. So warm more has like a orangish undertone. This is a cool brown, so you don't want to add too much because then you're gonna look gray, basically. This is cool based. But if you are looking to make a contour shade, you can mix this with any foundation, make it dark, and use it as your contour shade. And it'll be cool enough to where it'll look like a shadow rather than like an overall bronzer. So I'm just going to be mixing a few drops of this, probably only 2, into my Pro Glow foundation to get it to match my skin today. And to blend out my foundation, I always use my beauty sponge from Real Techniques. This is not a dupe to the beauty blender I heard, but I tried a beauty blender and it was too soft for me, so I prefer this. And I just make it damp and put a little bit on it like that and go to work. So I actually might have made this too dark. I look muddy. Let's see if I can fix it. So this is too dark, as you can see. So I'm going to use a pump of the foundation just by itself and go over this because I look like I have mud on my face. So this is looking a lot better right off the bat. Now, when I apply my foundation, I do patting motions, and I try to avoid directly under my eye. And if I'm going to be doing eyeshadow, I try to avoid on my eye, on top of my eye as well, because I'm going to be using concealer to cover that. But if you're going for a really natural look where you're not really going to be wearing any eyeshadow, then you can bring your foundation on top of your lid too. I still don't suggest putting it right up underneath your eye because if you are using concealer, that's just an extra layer of makeup you don't need. And the more layers you have, the more texture you might develop. Okay, so that's what I'm looking like. I'm still a little too dark, as you can see, but the great thing about makeup is as you go, you can fix things. So if maybe your foundation is a little too light, you can always warm it up with some bronzer. And if it's too dark, like I am, you can always warm it up with some concealer. So let's move on to concealer. For concealer today, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and I have the colors Sand and Fair. So I'm going to be using Fair as my highlight. This is when I really want to be highlighted, and when I'm going for a more natural look, I use the color Sand, which is closer to my skin tone. This is still lighter than my actual skin tone, but I use it when I want a subtle highlight, and I use Fair when I want to be baby. These are really great consistency too, because you can use these with your fingers or with a sponge. So I'm going to use it with a sponge. And I got this highlighting technique from Wayne Goss, and I'll leave a card somewhere so you can see his video. So what you want to do is really beat that concealer in and get rid of all the creases. I'm not focused. Alright, so what you really want to do is beat that concealer in and get rid of all the creases under your eyes. And once you're satisfied, you want to quickly set it. So I just want you to note a difference between this eye and this eye. This one looks lifted. I mean, at least in my opinion, I hope you guys can see it too. This one looks lifted and bright, while this one just kind of looks a little sad. So I beat in my concealer on this side. I haven't put any on this side yet. And now I'm going to set it with a powder. Now, I was going to do, powders in another video, but we need to keep this moving right now because if your concealer sets with creases, you're stuck. So I'm going to be using my RCMA powder, and this is an affordable powder. You can buy it offline for like 12 bucks. And I'm using a flat-headed brush. I think this is natural hair. I don't think it's synthetic. I don't really know much about brushes and natural hair versus synthetic really, except for eyeshadows, but I do believe this is a natural hair brush. And I just tap it in the RCMA powder, shake off the excess, and start low and work my powder up. So I do it like that so my under eyes don't get really dry, because I already have fine lines under my eyes, and if you put, or for me, if I put too much powder too quickly, my under eyes will look crepey and make me look a lot older. So that's why I just tap some in and really make sure it sticks all the way up to the lash line. And in this little crease where my nose meets my cheek. So that is set. And then I take a big fluffy brush and wipe away any excess. Okay, so I have on my concealer under my eyes and I powdered them. Now I'm going to do the concealer around the rest of my face. So since my foundation is a little too dark, I'm going to put some concealer right here to highlight, on my chin to highlight, and then right under my cheekbone. And down the bridge of my nose. Basically, highlighting is everything that you want to get noticed, while contouring is everything that you want to diminish. So I'm just going to show you how to highlight with a liquid, and then in my next video, talking all about powders, I'm going to show you how to enhance this liquid with baking and contouring. So like I said, we're just going to apply a little bit because this is a very light shade. And I like to do my nose last. And I'm still just using the same beauty sponge. So already that's helping my cheek look lifted. I don't know if you can tell. If it focuses, there it goes. This camera does not want to focus today. Do you see that? As comparison to this side, my cheekbone looks very prominent now. Now, say you don't naturally have really prominent cheekbones, all you gotta do is do the fishy face, and you put your highlighting concealer right underneath that line. So I'm going to highlight my nose and wrap this video up. And you don't need a lot of liquid concealer on your nose because really what you're trying to do is just brighten it a little bit. You're not really trying to cover anything. Now, if you were trying to cover but if you were trying to cover something on your nose, you would go in with a skin tone concealer, because if you put something lighter on something you're trying to hide, it's just going to make it more obvious. Now, I have to be extremely careful when I am using a highlighting concealer on my nose because I did put down foundation and pore filler. So if I press too hard, it will pick up the product that I've already put down. So I'm just tapping really lightly down the center of my nose to blend this in. And I like to highlight the center of my nose because it kind of makes my nose look a little bit more lifted like this, a little more narrow. Whereas in reality, I have a wider nose. I mean, it's not super wide, but to me, it's wide. So I highlight with the concealer down the bridge of my nose so it looks a little bit more pushed in. Okay guys, that's it for this video, foundations and concealers. I hope it was really helpful. Make sure you check back in tomorrow where I go over powder contours and blushes and highlights. So see you guys tomorrow. Bye!